So did you know that today, Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, I've heard it called Drinksgiving, I've heard it called Drunksgiving, I've heard it called Blackout Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, whatever you call it. It's the night before Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States, and it's become a time of celebration and Thanksgiving drinking. I'll tell you more about that in about 6 minutes. My name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, sitting in for Chris Krok. Chris is taking tonight off, tomorrow and Friday, or tonight, tomorrow and Friday. Chris has a lot of vacation, and he uses it at the end of the year. It's one of the things you see in this business. I get a chance to sit in and fill in for Chris as he enjoys time with the family. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, including Thanksgiving, turkeys, family events, travel issues. I want to start real quick also with breaking news today. And the story today is weather, certainly across the north and northeast area of the United States. I know it doesn't affect us here in Dallas directly, but it does. And it's funny, at the end of the day today, I went to my weather app and I looked at my weather app to see what the weather looked like. And because I've heard all the talk all day long about weather, and boy, you just look at the radar and you look basically from Illinois and Missouri east, it is one big old blob. Yes, it doesn't affect us directly here in Dallas or North Texas as we're out and about and doing our family events. But if you're traveling or you have family traveling, it will affect them, because anytime you see significant weather like that across the United States, it certainly affects air travel. So anybody, if you're traveling to the East Coast, if you're traveling north, if you're traveling southeast, anywhere east of Dallas and north of Dallas, it could impact you. The fact is that Denver, it hit Denver earlier today, and Denver's one of the hubs. I saw earlier this week the third busiest airport in the United States, a hub for United, a hub for Southwest. It just impacts travel. So be aware of that. Keep your eye on that. So if you're flying out or picking somebody up flying in, then check the status first. Speaking of flying, I want to talk about an issue that's impacting travelers here in Dallas, here in North Texas, but other areas across the country, and it's your vehicle and it's crime. We'll talk about that too here at the bottom of the hour. Jeff is the name, Westside Jeff. Breaking news story today, and the big story in our country today has been that an alarming series of bomb threats and swatting hoaxes aimed at several President Trump's cabinet picks and his appointees. Now, transition officials have announced that there have been, quote-unquote, violent and un-American threats that have ranged from bomb threats to swatting. Remember, swatting is the act of calling 911 from a particular place and saying the place is burning down. There's a mass shooting and alerting authorities and ringing alarm bells. That's being done also within some of the President Trump's camp across the country. Now, the FBI is working with local and regional law enforcement agencies across the nation. The FBI has noted and published a release that said, quote, we take all political threats seriously. The law enforcement sources said that no actual explosives have been found. These appear to be hoax attacks at this point and delivered through email and social media. Now, they're not telling us exactly who all was affected. They're not naming everything, rightly so. As you might imagine, government won't officially state who has been impacted. But 3 or 4 of those people who have been targeted have identified themselves publicly. Matt Gaetz, Trump's original pick for the attorney general, said that a bomb squad responded to a Florida home where a threat was made. Lee Zeldin, who has been picked to head the EPA, writes that a pipe bomb threat targeting me and my family at our home today was sent in with a pro-Palestinian themed message. And Elise Stefanik, selected to be ambassador to the United Nations, praised the responses to her upstate New York home, as she also was one of those that was impacted after a threat this morning, praising the extraordinary dedication of law enforcement. Earlier today, a Trump transition member spokesman declared dangerous acts of intimidation and violence will not deter us. Locally, here in North Texas, one of Trump's picks Brooke Rollins of Fort Worth, lives here in Fort Worth, targeted with bomb threats and swatting. She had indicated, Brooke Rollins had posted to X this morning, said, this morning we learned that a threat was issued against our home and our family, according to Rollins. That was posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. Rollins said her family was quickly returned home unharmed thanks to the Fort Worth Police Department. She's originally from Glen Rose. Rollins is married and has 4 children, lives with her husband in the Fort Worth area. She goes on to say, I want to express my deep gratitude to law enforcement professionals who did their utmost in both speed and expertise to protect us as they protect our community every single day. That from Brooke Rollins here in Fort Worth. That's 4 people within the Trump administration who have been targeted today with bomb threats or hoaxes. You know what? My name's Jeff, and it's West Side Jeff. I was born and raised up in Columbus, Ohio, been in radio all my life, and gravitated towards talking on the air because I have strong opinions. And I find myself sitting behind a microphone sharing common sense opinion on current events, and that's what I do. My mantra is that. I just give common sense opinion on current events. And I try to make radio interactive. So I pose a question to you. What is it? What do you think? What's your opinion about the stories about the threats against Trump administration and Trump and his future plans? What's your thought on that? What's your opinion? Why is there so many? We didn't see this in the Obama administration when it transitioned. We didn't see it when Biden came into office. It's only been Trump. I'd like to hear from you, your thoughts, your opinion, the stories that we see with what's going on with anti-Trumpism. 800-288-9227 is the number. It's 800-288-WBAP. My producer, Charlie Williams, will be answering the phone calls for you. Charlie does a great job. He'll pick up the phone, talk to you, see what you want to say, and go from there. Working with me in the newsroom, partnering with me tonight is Mickey Briggs. Mickey's in the newsroom. Will keep you up to speed on all the stories going on as the night progresses and keep you up to speed on anything that breaks and breaking news along the way. My question to you is this. Why is it there's so much anger, so much vitriol towards Donald Trump? What is it that Donald Trump, why is Donald Trump perceived to be the enemy of the state? I keep asking myself that, and I could come up with a million reasons. But I'm curious what you think, what your opinion is. Why is Trump the enemy of other countries, of other leaders, and of some of the people in our country? My opinion is there are just a lot of countries, there are leaders, and even Americans themselves that will do whatever they can to interfere with the second Trump presidency. They will do whatever they can to delegitimize him. Why is that? I want to hear from you, your thoughts, your opinion. 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Coming up in 3.5 minutes, I'll tell you more about this story, my thoughts on it, and some strong opinions. We know there's countries that want him dead. We know there's other leaders that don't want him in office. And we know Americans also will do what they can to get to Trump and his administration. I'll tell you my thoughts on what that's about, but I'd like to hear yours at 800-288-9227, 800-288 WBAP. My name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. So earlier today, and this is the breaking news today, an alarming series of bomb threats and swatting hoaxes aimed at several of President Trump's cabinet picks and appointees has flooded our country. There have been 4 folks so far that have come out and shared some of those. There may be more. We don't know. And I got to tell you, I don't know that I can trust the media, the legacy reporting media. One thing I'm not the greatest conspiracy theorist in the world. I don't have all of the conspiracy theories, but over the last couple of years, I've just come to the conclusion that the reality is we can't always trust what we're hearing from talking heads on national media. You just can't. And we've seen it time after time after time, and that's why we have a future President Trump coming into office on a second term. This election was the media against Trump and Trump against the media. Why is it there's so much hatred for Donald Trump? I want to hear your opinion. 800-288-9227, 800-288 WBAP. Speaking of Trump, by the way, Mickey Briggs and I just had Mickey's in the newsroom. He and I were just talking a moment ago. He's got a breaking story he's working on. He's finishing it up. He'll have it at the bottom of the hour. It's coming up in about 10 minutes about Trump announcing, or came out just moments ago, within minutes, and announced that he is going to meet one of his campaign promises. Mickey will have that story coming up in 10 minutes. But first, let's get to a couple of phone calls. Why is it that the media just hate Trump? And there's so many people, countries. We already know Iran wants him dead. We already know he's already took a bullet to the ear, and we already know there was a guy that set up outside Mar-a-Lago that was going to shoot him again, and they never got there. But we know so many countries, leaders, and even some Americans want Trump dead. Why? What is it? Why is he the most dangerous man to this world? Have my opinions. I'll share that in a couple minutes. But first, let's get to Reggie in Beaumont. Reggie, thanks for listening. You're on with Westside Jeff, sitting in for Chris Krok tonight. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP.
Hey, Jeff. Well, the first thing is, there's never really been a call for any of this, any reconciliation or any moderation from the opposing party. I mean, for 8 years, that's all we've heard. It's actually grown, the contempt and the hatred and the vitriol. It's grown worse. It went from he was just not a good candidate when he was first announced, they didn't like his hair, to now he's Hitler. And then when you don't prosecute anyone, and there are all these crimes and things that have gone on throughout the nation, and no one's been held accountable for them, you're going to get this residual where people feel they can get away with murder. And I'll use I'm glad you brought up the assassination attempts. It's funny, when the first attempt there in Pennsylvania happened and he was hit, you heard the outcry, oh, this is awful, we have to protect him. And from the second one on, it just became, well, he kind of deserves it. So when you get this kind of organized group that's just preaching, they're loudspeakers telling you how evil he is, people are just buying into that, and they never really get a chance to make up their own mind, because they're sitting there in an echo chamber hearing the same message day after day. They don't incorporate their own thinking.
But Reggie, why is it the state, if you will? Why is it they, whoever they is, why do they want him dead?
Well, think about it. When we've heard about all the corruption going on with Biden and his son, think about how few of the other politicians have chimed in. They're getting the same, Jeff, they're getting the same thing. They're just getting it from a different source. When he says drain the swamp, there's a lot more there than all of us will ever know. It's, we live in, our whole system is basically, it's corrupt, and it depends on the people that run the system and operate within it. They have to be the good citizens. They have to be the people of high moral fiber. And we don't have those. Our forefathers insisted on that. And we don't have those people running our country, and they're not getting elected. And unfortunately, our candidates, they keep recycling the same type of people. And until we get more people like Trump who are willing to just say, listen, we're going to do things the right way, not the easy way, not the hard way, the right way. That's the only way things are going to get fixed. And people have to dig in there and use their own minds to understand what their opinion should be, not what someone is telling them.
You know what, Reggie, you make some good points. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate being part of the show, Reggie. Thanks for being a part of the show. You make some really good points, and I hear you loud and clear and can't disagree with you. Kevin from Singer, thanks for listening. You're on with Westside Jeff sitting in for Chris Krok on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Why is it, Kevin, why is it so many entities, countries, leaders, and even some Americans, why do they hate Donald Trump and want him dead? What's your thought?
I call it the brainwash.
Tell me more.
They're fed this information, if you call it information, propaganda from here to there. We, as a nation, our young people are losing the ability to think for themselves. I'm a black man in Texas. And I started, the first time I voted for Gore. I'm not proud of it, but I own it. I got saved and realized everything being said around me was a lie. When people were saying, oh, George Bush hates black folks because he's not helping them in Katrina.
So, Reggie, you think the party is behind it and trying to brainwash people against Trump?
It's much bigger than, it's much larger than that, sir.
Larger than the party?
Larger than that. It's much larger than party. The simple fact that you have college students acting the way they're acting, doing the things they're doing against America's own interest, against America's greatest ally in the Middle East, lets you know that something is wrong with the teaching.
Hey, Kevin, I got to hit a bottom of the hour break. I'm going to ask you, would you stick around through the news? Because I'm going to ask my producer, Charlie, put you on hold and save you, because I want you to finish your point. I think you're making great points, and I can't disagree with you. I got some breaking news. I get hit at the bottom of the hour here in about 3.5 minutes with Mickey Briggs in the newsroom. I see him finishing up. Kevin, I'm going to ask Charlie, put you on hold and save you until after the news break. I want to talk to you and have you finish what you're talking about, because I think it's very important. I hear you talking about brainwashing and talking about more than just America, that it comes back to Middle East. I think you're getting into military and arms and money, that I think power, money, and arms all come into play. We'll get to that after the bottom of the hour news. But first, coming up in about 2.5 minutes, Mickey Briggs in the newsroom with a breaking news development here in the last couple minutes from Donald Trump about keeping one of his campaign promises. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, in for Chris Krok. I'm in tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. Mickey Briggs in the newsroom with that news story coming up in about 2 minutes. We'll be back on the other side of the news with Kevin from Singer. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. The name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff sitting in for Chris Krok here on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Chris has taken a couple of days off. I get a chance to sit in and fill in for Chris. You can catch me across social media at Westside Jeff on Facebook, X, and Instagram. I have a couple folks that will email me every now and then. The email is westsidejeff610 at gmail.com. I get emails every now and then from listeners. I appreciate those. And good old-fashioned thing you do, pick up the phone and call 800-288-9227. We're talking about why do so many want Donald Trump dead? Why do they want him dead? Why do they want his cabinet? Why do they want his appointees, his cabinet? Why do they want to incite violence against the Donald Trump presidency? I'll tell you my thoughts on that in a couple minutes. But at first, I want to hear yours, 800-288-9227. We're going to get back to Kevin in just a second. But, Kevin, before I get to you, it's interesting, Kevin, as we were talking to you a moment ago, in the middle of that conversation, right before we went to the news break, I saw the breaking news story coming out. And one of the neat things about this radio station, WBAP, is we have an app that you can download to your phone. If you haven't done it, please do. It's WBAP. Go into your app store, type WBAP. You'll see the app. Download it. And the reason you want that app is because you get breaking news alerts. So, Kevin, while you and I were talking a moment ago, I saw a breaking news alert hit my a notification hit my phone that said breaking news alert from WBAP 820. President Trump says Mexico's president has agreed to end migration through her country. And then Mickey Briggs had shot me a note also on that, so I knew I had to hit the bottom of the hour news and interrupted you on that. So, by the way, when you download the app WBAP, go to your app store, WBAP, and download it. You can also use that app to listen to the radio station. So, for a chance, if you're traveling over the holidays, going up north to see family or somewhere else, you could take the station with you and you can listen to it on your phone anytime, anywhere. Make sure to download that app, WBAP, on your app store. It's free. Kevin from Singer, thanks for sticking around through the news break on this. I posed the question to you as we have seen Donald Trump take a bullet to the ear, as we saw another shooter had lined up to take out Trump, but that was stopped long before it happened. And then today's breaking news are the swatting and bomb threats against some of his cabinet picks and appointees. Clearly, somebody wants Donald Trump dead. They want to doom his presidency, whether it be countries like Iran or surrogates of Iran or foreign individuals committed to Iran or other countries. We even have some of that in America. So my question to you is, this guy was a Democrat for more years than he was a Republican. Let's go back to that. Let's go back and remember that. Donald Trump was a Democrat for a long time. He helped build New York City. Then he turned Republican, ran for president. Now he's the enemy of the people. Kevin, why is it so many folks want Donald Trump dead? What's your opinion?
The reason they not only want him dead, they want him dead and want us out of the picture and in the back seat while they're driving us off of a cliff.
So you think you had started to say it's about brainwashing, meaning it's government control of...
It's brainwash. Obviously. It's brainwash from kindergarten. Who comes up? It, like I told your call screener, it's either brainwash or something supernatural. Because who comes up with Drag Queen Story Hour? They call us science deniers over climate change, and they're advocating for a 5-year-old to actually change their sex. There's no such thing as gender. There's male, female. How can you sit up here and tell me that a 5-year-old can be a racist? Or I take that back. A 9-month-old, they actually said, can be a racist. How can a 9-year-old be a racist if racism is taught? You can't teach a 9-month-old to do anything. It's all brainwash from kindergarten all the way up. And it is ridiculous. And they have been totally repudiated and rejected by the American people. and they're still pushing that bullcorn.
Kevin, you said you're a black man that used to be a Democrat. Now you're a Republican?
Yes, sir.
What made you change?
I hate to admit it. But yes.
That's all right. What made you change? What was a pivoting point in your life?
When I received Jesus into my heart, I realized, holy crap, this is a bunch of crud.
Kevin, I want to ask you something. It's interesting that you're talking, you brought up the word racism a couple times. And my opinion, again, the name is Jeff, it's Westside Jeff. My opinion is the word racism is very, when anybody, doesn't matter whether you're black or white, and you're called a racist, there's no way to defend that. There just isn't. It automatically shuts you down. I have black friends who have said to me, you know what, Jeff, when I want to shut somebody up, I just tell them they're racist. Because literally, that's what they do. And I believe, my belief today is that we in this country, many, especially in the media, don't know the difference, don't know really how to define when somebody says racism and racist. My immediate question I respond to them is, how do you define that? Give me a definition of racism. Give me a definition of it. Define that for me. And they go off and they really can't, because I've looked it up in many different dictionaries. I looked it up in many different ways. And the one commonality that I see in the word when I look up dictionaries and I see race or racism, racist, the one commonality is the word supreme. That the racism is when one ethnicity feels a supremacy over other ethnicities, meaning they are better. And I think we're in an era of this country where people are interchanging the word racism and racist with what I think is very different: race bias and race prejudice. Those are three different things: race bias, race prejudice, and racism. Three different things. And it's easy in the media to throw out the word racist and racism. And Democrats do that all the time. And you just said it yourself, that you get guilted into it. And they can't differentiate between race bias, race prejudice, and racism. Am I right or wrong?
Racism and bigotry are two different things.
Absolutely.
Now, racism, man, these people screaming racism have never been called the N-word, because if it happens, I've been called the N-word. I know racism when I see it, and I know bigotry when I see it. And racism is far worse than bigotry. Bigotry is trivial. Racism is serious. You cannot tell me that America is a racist country.
Totally agree.
Because I'm sitting here with my 14-year-old grandson, and he has never been called the N-word to his face out of anger. He's been called the N-word by people that are from the same race. That's not racism. Now,
Kevin,
you can say, oh, you belong to this group, and therefore I discriminate against you. That's bigotry. That's not racism.
Spot on. Kevin, a bright young man that you are, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate being a part of the call and being part of the show tonight. Thank you for calling. Thank you for weighing in. Some great points that you make, not only on why people hate Trump, why countries hate Trump, why they want him dead, but you tie back to race baiting and the identity wars. I think you're spot on. That's part of it also. It comes back to my question of why is it that Donald Trump is such a pariah? Why is it that the media, that other countries, that there are still people in this country who hate Donald Trump? every day I ask myself, why, when somebody tells me they could never voted for Trump and they are very anti-Trump, my immediate question is why? And I try to listen to them, and they can't put a finger to it. There's nobody that's actually given me a legitimate reasons of here's why I hate Donald Trump, and in my opinion, that are generally legitimate reasons. Not one. So my question to you, why is it? Why is call it deep state, whatever you want to call it, why do they want Donald Trump dead? And I'm talking about the stories today that there are several bomb threats and hoaxes against Trump's cabinet members and appointees across this country. And it's all about de-evaluating, delegitimizing the next Trump presidency as they did the first one. That's my opinion. I want to hear yours. Why do they hate Trump so much? What's his threat? What does he threaten? What does he threaten people? What does he threaten other countries? What does he threaten by being in power? Does it drain the swamp? Does he know something we don't know? There's a side of me that wonders if that's the case. My name is Jeff. It's West Side Jeff in for Chris Krok. Tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your thoughts. Why do folks that don't like Trump, why do they hate him so much? What is it? Why is he such a threat? I want to hear your opinion. 800-288-9227. I'm also on social media at Westside Jeff. 800-288-9227. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. We'll take your calls coming up in 4 minutes on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. So would it surprise you to learn that the Pentagon has failed another audit? And how much money that is? Mickey Briggs will have that story for us coming up in about 9 minutes, top of the hour news. My name is Jeff, Westside Jeff, in for Chris Krok. Mickey Briggs in the newsroom working on a story about Pentagon failing a audit and the amount of money that entails. I think that plays back to what President Trump is planning on doing with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, cutting government waste. Should be interesting to see what happens. I think that's part of why so many institutions, so many people, so many countries want Donald Trump dead. I think it, and I want to hear your opinion on that. Why is it they want Donald Trump and his cabinet and his appointees dead? We're talking about the top story of the day today, and that is an alarming series of bomb threats and swatting hoaxes aimed at several of President Trump's cabinet picks and appointees. 4 of them came out vocally today or verbally and into the media and said that they were targeted. Matt Gaetz is one of them. Matt was the original pick, the AG pick for Donald Trump. By the way, I did not like that pick. When that happened, people asked me my thought. They always reach out to me on social media. I'm at Westside Jeff across social media and say, what do you think? My thought was I didn't like that pick because I think it delegitimizes the office of the Attorney General. So I'm glad to see Pam Bondi take that position over. Love Pam Bondi. He should have done that before. By the way, another thought on that. Donald Trump, we were told for the last 9 months that he was such a threat against women and women's rights. Remember that whole conversation? Well, he was such a threat against women and women's rights. I'll tell you the rest of that after the top of the hour news coming up in about 8 minutes. I got a great quip on that one that I think you'll enjoy about Donald Trump being a threat to women. I will put that to rest. That's not true, and tell you about that after the top of the hour. But first, I want to get some phone calls. The name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, and for Chris Krok. Why is it so many institutions hate Donald Trump? They want him dead and his people to be destroyed. Glenda from Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Thanks for calling. Glenda, you there?
Are you meaning Sandra, not Glenda?
I'm sorry. I thought I said, I thought it read Glenda. So Sanda. Yes, Sanda. Thank you for, is it Sanda? S-A-N-D-A?
No, S-A-N-D-R-A, Sandra.
Okay, got it.
Evil is destructive. It's only work. That's the only work evil does, is it destroys. It never builds. It can never be trusted. It's always evil. The things that Trump has been doing has been trying to get us back to good. and they want to destroy that. We have let evil take a foothold in this country for a very long time. I'm 77, and I've watched it happen. And we need to get back to God and have God as the center and our true trust in God and follow Him. And that will get us out of the mess we are in if we do some repenting. It happens in the churches. If you look back at the Revolutionary War, George Whitefield was an English preacher who came over here, and he really worked to sort of head up the energy, the movement for the Revolutionary War. It was happening through the churches. It was actually happening through the churches. The Revolutionary War Museum in Philly even gives it a small spot. It should give it a bigger spot. But we have let evil erode little by little by little, and now it's hitting us in the head, and we're waking up to it, and we have to fight it. But evil always destroys. That's all. Evil is the destroyer. It cannot build. It has no ability to do anything. Satan has no ability but to destroy.
I agree with you. I hear you, and I thank you for your call, and appreciate, and I like your solution. That is, I believe, and I agree with you that we got to get back to believe some kind of religious belief system. Not only in our schools, our institutions, but God back in our life. Totally agree with you. By the way, when you talk about religion and God being back in our life, one of the people that I appreciate and understand who believes that and doesn't preach that, but lives it and tells a story about it is Amy Grant.